Dr. Collier. Save us from ourselves.
I will try. I will try. I loved your analogy about cricket versus baseball, Peter, because cricket matches take days to complete, right? So science is cricket instead of baseball? That's too bad. So I'm here to give you the report from the Delta Independent Science Board. We're going to cover the meeting we had on October 19th, the in-person public meeting, the November 2nd teleconference, and then our planning and some of what we're planning to do at our November 29th and 30th meeting coming up. By way of just a little bit of brief introduction, because I haven't met a lot of you and I haven't observed this process before, and I have been quite fascinated. So I was on the science panel similar to the DISB for the Puget Sound Partnership, but about effectively 2 months ago, I stepped off that panel and took a position similar to Peter's with the partnership as a science director for the Puget Sound Partnership. So he and I have got a lot of the same problems to deal with, and so we have a lot of talking to do. So,
you have 7 council members too?
Yes, it's the Leadership Council, though, not the council itself, but it's called the Leadership Council. But then we have an Ecosystem Coordination Board with 23 members.
I thought maybe that was the problem you were talking about.
So we've got 30 problems, and he's only got 7. So yeah, that's how I was. So going to the October meeting, one of the main things we did was we preceded that meeting by having almost all of the ISB attended the Bay Delta Science Conference. We managed to have, as far as we could tell, obviously we weren't tracking well enough, but as far as we can tell, we had at least one member at every scientific session at the conference. So we came back and debriefed on that. Dr. Atwater and I are writing a memo where we'll summarize our impressions of the conference. Basically, though, a couple of things. One, we felt that this was comparable to any national and international conference that we all attend in the course of our careers. Very high quality science, very informative. And, it's obviously you've got some talks that are more or less applied, but overall a very strong focus on applied science to the problems of the Delta. So we found this to be an extremely valuable conference. For me, I went to this conference 2 years ago when I was first coming on the board, and then this was my second attendance at the conference. And all of us who had been to the previous one, we thought we noted a marked increase in the scientific content and applicability of the science. So we found that it was a very valuable conference. And we will be giving some of those comments about the value of the conference, as well as some recommendations from the ISB on ways in which we think you could alter or think about it the next time you hold that conference. In terms of the Delta Science Plan, which we've just been talking about, and next steps, I think this is going to be discussed at our meeting in November as well. I think after this discussion, I'm pretty sure Chair Eisenberg, you will be at that meeting on the 30th.
Chris Knopp and I are scheduled to be at your next board meeting, I think the first day. Or is the first day your tour?
First day is the tour, so
okay,
second
so
day.
Then the second day, I guess it is.
So I think this will be a subject that we will make sure that's on the agenda to have that discussion, because again, we as part of our review are supposed to be looking at the Delta Science Plan as well as the strategic plan for the Delta Science Program. So this is something that I'm pretty sure that I'll be reporting out on from this meeting back to the ISB, and we should have some discussion of this, is my view. The upcoming review of the BDCP, we talked about that, and again, we've just gotten a charge that we will be bringing up that charge at the meeting and how we're going to deal with it. I think, so this is my view, the board will be looking at this charge and come back with its recommendations, and I'm sure some modification of the charge or some discussion of it. However, there have been good discussions between Chair Norgaard and myself and the science program. So I think that we're pretty clear on the scope and the level of this review and the charge, and we're still not sure how we're going to get it done, but we'll work that out. So going to 120 days probably wouldn't be a bad thing. And then we also had some reflections. You all know Dr. Mount. He gave us his reflections, his observations, and his charges to us. And I think there were 23 of them. So we're we're prioritizing those and figuring
He's
out.
slowing down.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was very late in the day, so it was, yes. We welcomed a new member, Joe Fernando from Notre Dame. That's going to be a great addition. Super well-regarded, internationally renowned scientist. Brings expertise in this area of fluid modeling and dynamics that we did not have. It's going to be we're looking forward to working with him. And then Jay Lund, it wasn't part of our action at the time, but he has now joined the board as well, and he'll be at this next meeting, so that'll be great too.
Great.
So Joe is replacing, get this right, Joe is replacing Mike, and then Jay is replacing Jeff, so. Then we had so that's pretty much what we did on October 19th at the public meeting. The November 2nd teleconference, we finalized the details of our tour of restoration sites, so we'll be hitting, as I understand it, I'm not sure the details are all totally finalized, but we should be hitting Sassoon Marsh and Cache Slough and 2 other sites. I can't remember exactly, but it'll be, I think details are still being finalized, and that will be open to the public. Some people will be able to come on the boats with the ISB, and there will also be some public meetings on shore. We're having some discussions. And USGS is doing an awful lot of helping on making this tour come about. And then on our November 30th, on the Friday following that restoration site tour, and again, Chair Norgard explained to you at your last meeting, I believe, the different approach we're taking to this science review charge that we have, which is really, we're trying to review around big questions, not about the many, many programs that we've just been talking about, because there are 763, I think, that it would take us forever to get through that, and probably not very effectively. So we are going to focus on big questions, and right now the big question is, how are we conducting habitat restoration and the science behind that, especially taking into consideration climate change. So the presentation we had this morning was just spot on as far as the scientific rigor we need applied to some of those issues. So that's something that we're going to have to incorporate that knowledge, probably by asking these people to come back from SFEI and talk to us about that approach as well. But again, that's my opinion right now. It's not the board's opinion. On the meeting on Friday the 30th, we are going to talk about the field trip, the restoration site tour. We're also going to hear from 4 federal agencies that are very obviously seriously involved in the issues of habitat restoration of the Delta, and that will complement our previous discussions with state agencies. So then we will have hopefully enough information that at our January meeting, we will try our best to wrap up this assessment of habitat science, the habitat restoration science, especially in the face of climate change. And we will then talk about the charge that we've just been given on the review of the BDCP and the EIR, EIS. And then also 2 of our members are going to report they've reviewed the Delta Science Program's draft strategic plan, and they'll be reporting to us on that. So I think there are some additional things we're going to have to add to our agenda based, as I said, on some of the discussions I've heard here today. It's going to be a very full day on that Friday, so, but I think we'll do our best to squeeze it all in.
Okay.
So I think that's what I'm supposed to do. Is that what I'm supposed to do when I do this? If I did okay, there aren't any questions. So. Are there any questions?
Are there questions? Doctor, thank you for coming and standing in for the chair. And
my pleasure.
Look forward. And your observations, by the way, on the Institute report and the Fiorini modeling notion of taking a concept that everybody seems to like but moving it a step or 2 forward, your thoughts about that would be very much appreciated.
Okay.
You don't have to do it here.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
There's a lot of attraction to it, I think,
okay.
and a lot of support here.
All right.
Doctor, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.